Hello, dear students. Our today's topic is migration and navigation. Today we will study about the bird migration. Now here we can see a very nice picture of migratory birds. Now we know that the animals, they cannot spread their roots in one place and synthesize their own food like the plants. So what they have to do? They must move about from one place to another in search of foods. Now here the birds, they have a fantastic ability to fly, and because of their mobility, they exploit almost entire globe searching for food, territory, nesting sites, and other necessities for their survival. Another thing is that birds, they have high metabolism and equally high energy consumption. So they need abundant and unfalling sources of rich food. And another thing is that birds, they are not perfectly adapted to all environments, and sometimes the birds, they have to leave their place, and that leaving of their homeland or their place is known as migration. So the word migration, like other words, it is also derived from the Latin word migrare, which means any type of traveling. So any cyclical movement with respect to food and weather that occurs during the life history of an animal at definite intervals, and it includes the return trip from where it begins, is known as migration. So that means, in purest sense, the migration refers to seasonal movements between a location where an individual or population breeds and a location where it survives during the non-breeding period. Now there are different type of migrants. One is long distance migrants. They are those that have a complete shift between the breeding and wintering areas, like the black-poll warbler that breeds in Canada. Then there are short distance migrants like the pine warbler. These make the shorter trips up and down the side of a mountain. Then there are partial migrants also. Here the species, some individuals of a species, they leave the place and others stay there, like the American robins. By doing this type of partial migration, these birds, they provide the food, or they leave the food for the individuals who are living in that space. Now, how the migratory journey takes place? The migratory journey is usually broken into a series of short flights. Like some songbirds, they migrate at night. Some migrate singly or in loose flocks, and some migrate not every night. They take rest, and this is how they complete their journey by taking 3 to 4 weeks time. Then the birds might also have more than 2 migratory destinations. This is also possible. Then here we can see the migratory path of a bird, and some major routes are shown in the map. Now, how we can find out the routes of the migratory birds? So one of the process is the banding. Now these banded birds, they are recaptured and they give lot of information from where the birds are coming, up to what place they have reached. But it is also not very easy because the birds are hunted, they are catched by the locals, and they don't give proper information. Now, food habits and migration. The food habits, they are totally related to the migration. That means the relationship between food habits and migration is often considered the most important thing. Like the insects, they become scarce in winter in the northern latitudes. So the insectivorous birds, they must move closer to the equator where insects are abundant. So the insectivorous birds, they are the largest group of migrants. Now some insect eaters, they can eat seeds in the winter. Now when they can switch over from one type of food to another type of food, they do not tend to migrate. They remain there only. Then the fruit-eating birds, they may not have to migrate as far as the fruits are available at the zone of the temperate zone. That means they migrate or they move up to temperate zone, and there the fruits are available. So if the seeds are available in this area the year around, they do not tend to migrate. Then also they don't migrate. Now, but when the seeds are not produced in winter or they are covered by snow, the birds, they move southward. Then they move southward, and at least they come down the mountains. Then it also depends upon what type of seed they are eating. Like the finches and crossbills, they feed on pine seeds from the cones. And the pine seeds, they are available in the winters also. So they are also non-migratory. Then also they don't migrate. Then fish-eating birds. Now fish-eating birds, their food supply is cut off when the northern lakes, they freeze. So most aquatic birds winter at the edge of the temperate zone. And some of them even they go up to the tropics also. Then the large hawks, they feed on mammals and birds. They migrate because they are prey. The mammals, they hibernate. So that is why the large hawks, they have to migrate. Then the photo period, it also affects the migration of the hawks, because when the photo period shortens, they have lesser time for hunting and they have to migrate. On the other hand, owl, they don't migrate because they are not affected by the shortening of the photo period. Then the geography of the region and the migratory behavior. The geography of the region, it also has an effect on migratory behavior. Now, the birds they move from one place to another, and when there is winter and snow in one region, they move to another place. But even then, they need the same type of habitat. Like like if we talk about the north temperate zone. Now, north temperate zone and the southern part, both of them have the grasslands. So the birds from the northern regions, they move up to the grasslands in the southern regions. So from the northern region they reach up to the southern region. But when they start moving from the northern region, and when they find the areas suitable in the central region, then they stay there only instead of moving to the southern region. So geography, it also has a important effect on migration. Then the site fidelity. Now, the if a bird returns to the same site every year, that means it has some sort of genetically based ability to remember the site and then to get there. Now, for example, if we take the example of a young warbler, it may carry genetic information that causes it to remember its place of birth and then respond to the cues that guide it to the Puerto Rico. It reaches there. So there must be a genetic basis to migration, because young birds, they have never migrated before their migration, and they successfully reach up to their places. Then the route selection. How the birds, they select the route. Now, the evolution of a migratory route is determined by many factors. Geographic or topographic factors are important for some species, but even some small warblers and hummingbirds, they have the ability to fly across the Atlantic Ocean and then their way back to the North America to Mexico. Then some hawks and turkey vultures, they follow the land route rather than crossing the oceans. So that means the migratory routes, they are identified by different birds differently, and that has a genetic basis also for their migration. Then timing of migration. The timing of migration is controlled by both proximate and ultimate factors. Now, ultimate factors are evolutionary and proximate factors are the clues. Now, the resource and breeding factors. The ultimate factors that determine the suitability of the breeding and wintering grounds, and like the breeding sandpipers, they arrive early in the year, the Arctic, as soon as the snow clears. So they have enough food and sufficient time to raise their young ones before the snow is there. Then the climate factors. The ultimate factor that determines food supply and survivability on the breeding or wintering ground. But there is also a proximate factor that influences the timing of the migration, like bad weather, rain, heavy winds. They cause birds to fly faster from that area, or slow down their movement. Then photo period. Photo period clues, that is the proximal cues that tells the birds when to migrate. If the birds they depended merely on weather, they could not leave. But here, the if the weather is bad and they are becoming too late, then it will be difficult for them to reach at that place in time. So they depend on the photo period, and photo period is very predictable, and on an average it is beneficial for their migration, and they follow the photo period even if the weather conditions are not good to migrate. Now, here a paper is mentioned, that is hormones in migration and reproductive behavior in birds. So here it is shown that migratory behavior is not only tied to photo period, but hormones, gene expression, behavior, and reproductive cycle of the bird is also responsible for the migration. So that means this paper is written that not only the photo period is responsible for migration, many other factors are there which are more powerful as compared to the photo period. Now, the navigation and orientation. How does a bird find its way? So there is one another topic also in our syllabus about the navigation and orientation behavior of birds and different animals. In that we can study about in detail that how the different animals they find their path during the migration, and because the species also they vary in their navigational abilities. The birds they have the ability to find their way back if they are displaced. It can be observed in many experiments conducted on homing pigeons. They can find out their pathways if even they are distracted from there, and the olfactory function is an important is playing an important role in the homing pigeons in their migration. Then the landmarks. It is also observed that there is some indication that birds use landmarks, not fully, but up to sometimes they are using the landmarks for their migration. Then the position of the sun. It also seems to be one of the prime navigational cues for both nocturnal and diurnal flyers. Now here also some experiments are also conducted. They also show that how the sun compass is used by different type of birds for migration, and how the sun compass it is required to set the internal biological clock. Then geomagnetic clues are there. The birds, they use the magnetic field of the earth for their migration. Here also the experiments done on homing pigeons, they provide useful data. So here we can say that the orientation and navigation, they may be due to a variety of cues, and in some evidence even the order, they may play a role in the navigation. And even the sounds, the ocean waves, waterfall, they also help in migration. So the birds, they migrate using a very complicated genetic process. Thank you.